I have two air pressure gauges over here. This diagram shows the air pressure gauge for the front tank and the air pressure gauge for the rear tank. And every time you let the engine running, or especially if you press the accelerator, the air pressure will build up. The needle should go this way. And every time you fan off the service brake or you hold the service brake, that's the other way around. The air pressure should decrease, so your needle will go down this way. And the red light over here for low air pressure warning should come on only when the air pressure is at 55 psi or lower. So in this case, there is something that doesn't add up on this diagram, because you see the red light, they're on, and the air pressure is at approximately 120 psi. So that's not the way it should be in reality, but this is only a diagram, okay? Now, with that in mind, every time you hear a figure for the air brake test purpose, it needs to be put into context. Let me give you an example. If a driver gets stopped by a police officer for speeding, so let's say that the driver is driving at 50 miles per hour in a 30 miles per hour zone. The police officer says, sir, ma'am, you were driving 20 miles over the speed limit. That does not mean that the driver was driving 20 miles per hour. What it means is that the driver was driving at 50 miles per hour. 30 miles being the speed limit, 30 miles per hour plus 20 miles per hour over. So that is the same way we need to look at it over here with the PSI on the air pressure gauges. So when we hear numbers, when we say approximately or before, normally the figures represent actual numbers over here on the scale. For instance, when you say, okay, we will let the air pressure build up to approximately 120 psi, and the governor will cut a burst of air, that means approximately 120 over here on the air pressure gauge. Same for when we say that the red light for low air pressure warning, the red lights, and the message on the message box and the buzzer will come on before the air pressure reaches 55 psi. What we mean is the number 55 over here on the air pressure gauge. Same for when we say the air pressure at approximately 40 psi. When it reaches that point, the yellow knob of the parking brake will pop out like a spring. The parking brake will be engaged. What we mean is approximately 40 over here on the air pressure gauges. Now, when we hear numbers such as no more than 15 psi or no more than 3 psi, what we mean is that we don't mean an actual number on the air pressure gauges. So when we say that the initial drop should be no more than 15 psi, that does not correspond to the number 15 over here. That means that wherever the needle is after it stabilizes at that point, so let's say it's over here around 120, the air pressure should not go down more than a 15 psi range. That's what it means. Same for your extra drop. When we say it should be no more than 3 psi per minute, it means that wherever the needle is at that point, it should not go down more than 3 psi per minute. So it should stay pretty stable. So this is it.